Smith, and welcome to my YouTube channel, First Lady of All Trades. Today we are doing a video on making masks. Today I'm going to show you how to draw, how to cut, and how to sew your own face mask. So we're going to, first of all, I'm going to tell you all the things that you need to do in order to get started with making your mask. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of paper, and all you need is 8.5 by 11. This is copy paper. Okay, you can use newspaper, you can use whatever you want, any type of paper. And then we're going to need a pen. You can use a pen or you can use a pencil. And then we're going to need our paper scissors. These are my paper scissors, and you need paper scissors and you need fabric scissors. Paper scissors, I use them for paper only because over a period of time, paper will dull your scissors. So you don't want to use the same scissors you cut paper with that you cut your fabric with, because you need sharp scissors to cut your fabric. So these are your paper scissors. And then I have another pair for my fabric. This is for my fashion fabric. Okay, and then I have a measuring tape because you want to measure your pattern to make sure that you have the right size. Okay, and then we have some pens. You can have any type of pen that you like. I like these. These are have the little balls in them, so they're easy to grab and they're a little bit longer, easier to maneuver with. Okay, and then we're going to need, you're going to need a ruler, any type of ruler. This is a clear see-through for crafters. Okay, or you can just use a regular school one. And then this is your elastic. This is a 1/4 of an inch wide elastic you're going to need. And then you're going to need your fashion fabric. Today I'm using camo. This is my fashion fabric. Okay. All right. You're going to need a cutting board if you want one. This is optional. I have a cutting board and I like it because it have all the measurements here. It's easy to measure and to cut. But you don't need that. You can put it on a plain table. You need a mask if you have one. You're going to need a sewing machine that we have here. Okay. Alrighty. And then we're good to go. You're going to need an iron also. We're going to need an iron, and we're going to need an ironing, either an ironing pad or your ironing board. Alright. So we're going to get started. So the first thing we're going to need, if you have a mask, you can use one. You can copy it. Now we're getting ready to get started with cutting our mask. Okay. I have one here. This is what I use for a sample. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. I'm just going to show you because I'm going to give you the measurements anyway. I'm going to show you how I did it, so when you get one, we're going to do that also on some additional videos I'm going to do on making masks, on other sessions and series that we're doing. But all I did was I took this mask and I measured it on my little table here. When I measure this, just let me know that this is 5 inches wide. You see 5 here? This is 5 inches wide. And then I measure how long it is, and it is 8 inches long. So all I did was I took a piece of paper like this. And because I have this board, I can easily measure it out. And then the measure is 5 by 8. And then you're going to add your additional 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. So if it's 5 by 8, you want to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. So we know that it's 5 inches wide times 8 inches long. Okay. So we're going to do, we're going to add a 1/2 inch all the way around. So we're going to add an additional inch on the width, which is going to make it now 6 inches wide. And we're going to add an additional inch on the length, which is going to make it 9 inches long. So now we know our final measurement is 6 by 9. I'm going to measure my 5 inches here. Okay. And I have my ruler because I know that it's 5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut this right here at 5 inches. Okay. I'm going to take this, I'm going to do 5 inches. Okay, this is where 5 inches is where the mask is. So now we're going to add the additional 1/2 inch on each side for our seam allowance. So the additional 1/2 inches on both sides, the top and the bottom, is going to be now 6 inches. Okay. All right. Now that's 9 inches. So now all I have to do, now that I have my measurement, I take my paper scissors. I'm just going to cut it out. This is all you have to do. Very simple. And those of you who are fearful about sewing, don't worry about it. We're going to take the stress out of it. It's very simple to do. There. and you're gonna cut this here. Okay? Very easy. You can do this. Okay? There you go. So now this is our measurement. And I did it in advance just to show you. Now this is the finished one. This is my finished pattern. Let you take a look at this. The finished pattern is 9 by 6. And what I did was I wrote my measurements, how long it is, and I wrote how wide it is. And then I include a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. You see the 1/2 inch seam allowance there, 1/2 inch seam allowance there. You need a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch here. And then you're gonna cut one piece of this. You just need one piece. So we're gonna take our fashion fabric next. Okay, and you're gonna open that up, your fashion fabric. You can do it on this side or that side, it doesn't matter, okay? We're gonna cut it on this side. And you're gonna take your pattern. This is now your pattern for all of your masks that you're gonna make in this style. And you're gonna take it and you're gonna lay it on your piece of paper. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pen and you're gonna pin this down. Just secure it, okay? Because you don't want it to move when you start cutting it. That's why you need your pins. You can use as many pins as you want. Those of you who are new, because this is beginners, we're going to use more pins. We're going to pin them in every little area, all the little corners. So when you go around to sew, okay? All right. And we're going to put one in this corner. And I'll put one in this corner. Okay? There. Now there's your pattern. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to use our fashion scissors. And now you're going to cut your fabric. Very simple. Just cut it like this. Cut this little piece right here. Just cut all of it off. The only thing you want to cut everything that's on the outside of this pattern. Everything that's on the outside of it you want to cut. And because I had a piece of fabric where the bottom was already straight and edged and cut, I don't have to cut this piece. If you put it in the center, then you have to cut all around the sides. If not, if you line it up with a piece that's already even with the pattern, then all you have to do is just cut the sides that are not, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay? And then you're going to cut this. Okay, now you have that, your pattern. Okay, now you'll take your needles out. And now we're getting ready to sew. Okay, take all your pins out of there. Alrighty, and here's your pattern. Now remember I said that we had a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you on a measuring tape. If you zoom in really, really closely, we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to start at 1 so you can see. This is 1, okay? A 1/2 inch is right here. This is 1, and this is where 1/2 inch is. This is the amount that this is your seam allowance. This is all going to be folded over nice and neat and sewn. I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to first make a 1/4 of an inch seam. Now, if this is a half of this would be right here, right there. Okay, so we're going to fold this over like so, and we're going to do a 1/4 of an inch seam. And if you look at this, okay, you see it's a 1/4 of an inch. This is where we're going to start. This is our first seam, and I'm going to pin that 1/4 of an inch all the way down, 1/4 of an inch. And I'm doing this for beginners. Okay, and we're going to pin it down a 1/4 of an inch all the way down. Okay, and what we're going to do is once we pin that, okay, I'm going to show you how to sew it. You're gonna do a 1/4 of an inch here, and then you're going to do a 1/4 of an inch on this side, and then we're going to do the other side. So once you do a 1/4 of an inch here, I'm going to show you. Then once we do that, we're going to fold it again and do another 1/4 of an inch, so it's nice and neat, and then your raw edges are all covered. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the sewing machine. I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make our beginner stitch. Okay, stitch, and I'm going to do a backward stitch just to secure that, and then we're going to sew. Okay, and then you're going to continue to sew. Okay, move your pin, and continue to sew. Here, and again. And we're going to secure that stitch. Okay, now we're going to fold this seam, and then we're going to sew it again. We did our first 1/4 inch. Now we're going to do this. You see this right here? Okay. Now we're going to take this and we're going to fold it again really tightly. Fold it again to secure it, and then we're going to sew it again. Really simple. There we go. And now we're going to do the same thing on this side. The same thing you did here, you're going to do it on the side. We're going to do it quickly. Okay? 1/4 of an inch. Okay. And if you're starting, you pin this down. I'm a little bit more advanced, so I can eyeball it. And if you can eyeball it, go ahead and do it. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. 1/4 of an inch. All the way down. Okay, and now we're going to fold it again like we did that other side. One more time. Going to fold it. Okay. Turn this quickly. Fold it down. Okay, now we're going to press. And then I'm going to show you how to do the side seam. Now we're going to press this and make sure it's nice and clean and neat. Okay, now we're going to the iron. Now we're at our ironing board and we're ready to press our seam. Okay, press that out. Make sure it's nice and neat and clean. See? All right. All right. Now we're going to do our side seams. We're going to go now we're going to sew our side seams. And two, I need to mention that we're not doing a lining in these because it's still hot, and I'm not going to do a lining. We're going to do some more where we show you how to do linings and inserts and things when it gets a little bit warmer outside, and also for the winter months. But right now for the summer, we're just going to do a single layer because you can breathe, it's more breathable. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to sew our side seam. The side seam, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a 1/4 of an inch, exactly the same, but we're just going to do a 1/4 of an inch only, and then I'm going to show you how to insert your elastic. And then we're going to insert the elastic, and then we're going to do another seam. Okay, now we're going to sew the side seam. Okay. And then we're going to sew the other side seam. Same way. Okay. And if you go a little larger than a 1/4 of an inch, don't worry about it. You have plenty of fabric here, okay? So don't worry about that. Don't worry about messing up. Just do it, okay? And then we're going to sew this one down. Okay, there you go. All right. Now you have all your sides sewn. This is just a 1/4 of an inch on both sides, and I'm going to show you how to insert your elastic. First thing we're going to do is what? We're going to press. So now we've sewn our side seams. Now we're going to press those out. Makes it nice and clean. Okay. All right. See, nice and clean. Now we're getting ready to insert our elastic. Now, I've already pre-measured mine. Now, if you have one, I took my elastic and I measured the one that was already in here, is what I did. I measured it. Okay. You see how I'm doing this? Measuring all the way around. And this lets me know this is how much I need. Okay. And once I find out how much I need, I put a little pin in here. Okay. And then I just double it because I'm going to need 2. I'm going to double it. I'm going to need 2. So I took this. Or you can just cut one. Once you mark it off, you can cut one. And then you can measure it again. Cut it again. Okay. You need 2. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just 2 methods, 2 ways you can do this. I'm going to show you how to attach these together, and you're going to enclose it in this little seam like this. Okay? You're going to attach it together, and then you're going to close it, and you're going to have the elastic there. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're at our sewing machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach these together, and then we're going to insert them in the seam, and then we're going to sew the seam. Now, to attach your elastic, you need to do a zigzag stitch. If you have a zig and all, even if you have a basic sewing machine, which this is not fancy. It's just your heavy duty basic machine. Because when I went to buy one, the person at the store said that these last longer. The ones that's pretty fancy and stuff like that, I have that. But for my basic sewing, this is what I use. So I'm going to use a zigzag stitch. And all you need to do is turn it to your zigzag stitch. If you can zoom in a little bit, if you can just turn it to your zigzag stitch on your sewing machine right here. See that? This is zigzag. And this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to sew this on, because you want to zigzag because it's going to move and stretch, and you don't want the seams to pop out of it. So with the zigzag, it's for your fabric that has stretch and has lycra or some stretch to it. Okay? So now we're going to sew it. What you're going to do is you're going to hold these together. Now, if you can zoom in very closely, and it could appear to be tricky, but it's really not. Because if it helps you, you can take this and you can actually put a pin in there. You see how I'm putting these two together? Like this. And you could put a pin and hold this together if you choose to do that. Okay? If you choose to, you can use a pin to hold it into place, okay, until you get into this sewing machine. Or you can just do it with just holding it with your hand like this. And what I'm doing is that I'm putting it under the sewing machine, under the needle, and I'm just going to put a zigzag stitch in this. And once I get on the needle, I'm going to hold it here, okay? And put the needle down in there, so it's going to hold it in place for me, okay? And I'm going to turn it like this, and I'm going to do my zigzag stitch. That down, okay? And we're going to do our zigzag stitch. And there we go. Go back. Okay. And I went back and forth to keep that stitch in there. You see how I did that? Okay. All right. That's one. And you need to do the same thing with the other one. Very simple. Just hold it together, and we're going to do that stitch. Now we're back at our cutting table. We've sewn our elastics for our sides, and now we're going to insert them into our fashion fabric, okay? So what we're going to do, and it's going to automatically gather, okay, because of the elastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert that, okay? And then we're going to sew it. So we're going to pin this. Okay, like so. And you're going to pull that because you want it to stretch. You want it tight. Okay. You see how I'm doing this? This is how we're going to sew that seam. Okay. And when you're at your sewing machine, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to pull it. Okay. You see how that's looking? You're going to put a needle right there. Okay, you see how that is? And all I'm going to do is insert that right there, because this is the part you're going to put behind your ear. Okay? And you're going to do the same with the other side. Get some more pins. Okay, that's one side. And then I'm going to do the other side the same way. Pin it there. And you're going to put the last one in the center here. You pin that too. And all you have to do is pull it. Just pull it and pin it. Okay? Okay, this is what we have so far. And we're going to secure it on the inside so it doesn't move and shift, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. Okay, we got a pin. Now we're going to go back to our handy dandy sewing machine, and we're going to finish this bad baby off. We're back at our sewing machine, and we've done this. We pinned the elastic on both of our sides, and now we're getting ready to sew that. So we're going to turn our stitch. We had it on zigzag. Now we're going to do just a basic straight stitch. I'm going to turn it back to a straight stitch, okay? And I'm put it on a straight stitch so we just can sew that. The first thing to do, especially when you're working with elastic, is to put it where you want to start your sewing. And insert your needle right in that spot. That way it'll hold it for you, okay? See right there, it's held in there. Now you can put your lever down, and now you get ready to sew. You see it doesn't move, it's not gonna budge. Now you can pull this elastic. You see how I'm pulling the elastic straight now? Okay, so now you're going to sew. Sew that into place. Okay. All right, you're gonna take your pins out. Don't forget, we don't wanna sew our pins in there because we don't wanna tear up our needles. Okay, and now that you got it, you can really take those out. And you see how it's holding? It's already folded and nice and neat. So you're gonna take that and sew that. Okay. And we're gonna take this pin out. Okay, take this one out, and we're gonna hold it in place. There we go. And hold that with your finger down and continue to sew. All right. Alrighty. See that's in place there? How that's secured in there. See, you enclose it in the seam. All right. See how that's enclosed? And what we're going to do, so this doesn't shift out because we don't want it to come out in the part that we sewn to ever show. What we're going to do, we're going to sew right down the center here, and we're going to secure that band. You're going to secure the elastic. That way it won't move and shift, okay, when you put it on. So we're going to do this, okay, show you. And I'm going to sew right down the center, any place where you just sew the elastic in place so it doesn't move. Okay? So we're going to sew that. Just a little short straight line. Okay? You're done. All right? Now, when you put it on, it doesn't shift. You see, it won't move. It'll just move from the sides. And that's it. You see that? Okay? Same thing with the other side. Same exact thing. We're going to start here. You're going to insert your needle to secure that so it doesn't move. Put your lever down, and let's get sewing. Okay, you're going to sew that in place. There you go. And pull that. Because it has elastic in it, you have to stretch it a little bit. And you're going to pull it. See? Pull that. Keep pulling. Move that last needle. There you go. Okay. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to secure that elastic so it doesn't shift, it doesn't move. We're going to sew it right down the center. Okay? Right down the center. Right there so it doesn't move. Okay. You'll sew that down the center so it doesn't shift at all. Back at our sewing table. Now all we're going to do is we're going to remove all these little strings that's hanging here. You see all these? Just take our little scissors and you're going to cut all of those off. You see them here? We want to get rid of all of these strings. See them all here? Get rid of all of those. You can tell the difference if something is made or not. If the strings are, if it's not pressed properly, and if the strings are still hanging off of there, it looks homemade. So we don't want it to look homemade. We want it to look like we actually went in the store and bought these. Okay? Get my strings off of there. Okay? I cut all my strings off. I got everything done. And now it's finished. And this is your mask. See? It's easy. You can do this. You can do this. Please let me know if you made these. If you did, send me pictures. I want to see what you guys did. And please remember, my name is Shamar Smith, and this is my YouTube channel, First Lady of All Trades. Again, I'd like to welcome you guys, and please click like on this, and also please subscribe. I would so appreciate if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, because we're going to be doing a plethora of things. I have so many more sessions on different masks that we're going to do. We're going to do some for the fall. We're going to do some for the winter. We're going to do some with linings. We're going to do other things that we'll be sewing, but please, you'll be the first to know. So again, click like, again, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.